I clicked the button. It says, we're live. What's going on, everybody? Good morning. How we doing? Welcome. Welcome to Wednesday Live. Welcome to Homeboat Workshop. I hope you and you and you and you hope we're all doing great as we get settled in here to hang out. Let's make sure everything is working. I don't have a chat yet. So we gotta fix that. We gotta fix it. That's fine. It'll give everybody time to tune in, right? So let's see here. Chat. There it is. There it is. Let's see. Sam's here. Sam says hello, Jeff and everyone. What's up, Sam? Good morning. How are you? Uh-oh, did I just hit? Ooh, I thought I hit the stop streaming button or something. Newbies, I tell you what. I gotta get this. There we go. Okay. Neptunes is here. What's up, brother? Neptunes says, hey, Sam. Hope all's well in your part of the world. Sam says, very well, thank you. Right on. That's awesome. Good deal. How we doing? What's everybody up to? Scoot this a little bit. Right on. And why is that turned up? Oh boy, like everything's it's a kind of a mess today. Today's a busy day, and I feel like I was rushing, even though I wasn't really rushing to get this set up, but I feel like it. I have a lot going on today. I mean, not super ton, but a fair bit of things. Started off this morning. You'll notice behind me there is 0. That's a big 0 with a Z. There are no plaques in the shop whatsoever, anywhere. And this morning, before we even went live, the main shipment got picked up to be delivered to where it's going. So that is awesome. There's one more batch that needs to be delivered yet, but those are going to get delivered to a different location in about a week or so, but they're already packaged. They're already done. Everything. Woof. The table has been swiped clean of those plaques. So, which is awesome. Which means I get lots of little parts of the shop back. I get lots of little parts of the house back. So, there's a big collective sigh across the land when these are done, and I can send them off. So we had that. We had those got out of here, which is fantastic news. What a relief. Although it was much better than last year, still a lot of work, and always nice to be done with it. So plaques are done. They're out of here until next year. Dastardly Dave's here. Dave, what's going on? Dave says, sup all. Sup, Dave? How are you this fine Wednesday morning? Late morning, I guess, for you, but still morning, right? Sam says, did you find the hype setting? Sam, you know what? I'm going to be completely honest with you. I forgot to even look. I know. Slacker, right? I know. Yeah, I'm sorry about that. But I did. I forgot to look. So I got no update on that. I'm going to have to write that down. If I only had a note paper out here or something, I would. But no, I will try to remember to do that because I have some computer work that I need to do once we're done here. And then maybe I'll work on that. See if I can find it. Neptune says, hello, Dastardly Dave. Hey, dude, what's up? What's up, dude? Sam said, Jeff had an ish haircut. Yeah, as in not a lot to be cut. I did get a haircut. It's fun. It's kind of funny. Like, to your point, Sam, I know you're being funny with it, but you're not wrong. Because when I get like the tiniest bit, like most people wouldn't even notice that it's growing. But the weird thing is when I put on my sunglasses or safety glasses, I can feel it brushing the little hairs. I'm like, oh, time for a haircut. Like, we're talking microscopic length. Most people probably wouldn't even notice that. But for some reason, it drives me crazy. So yeah, had to break out the clippers yesterday. Neptune says, hey, Harry, that's really Dave. Hey, Neptune. Okay, sorry, I got mixed up with the conversation there. So what's everybody working on? What's on your workbench? I told you what's not on my workbench, and that's plaques. But I want to know what's on all of your workbenches. Harry, dude, what are you fixing this morning, early morning for you? Cheers, everyone. Got my coffee. It is a good day. It is. So I mentioned I got quite a few things that I'm working on. Well, one that I got going on today, not necessarily that I'm working on, but got the plaques out of here. That was number one. Number two, I'm trying to finish up, not finish up, but I'm trying to get to a stopping point on this cigar box build, so I can start editing that video. If you saw part one, you know I'm kind of trying to work through this build, and been making some good progress, I think. Although most of it was kind of most of the progress stopped last week. If you remember, I had a few more plaques to finish up, so I didn't get much done last week. But I've been back at it this week, trying to get everything fitted to the box, and I think we're there. I just glued on a heel cap just before we went live here, so that's got to dry. That's why it's still in clamps. But overall, I got my wonky looking neck ready to go. And I think I'll probably stop the video here at this step. This time around, I'm trying to include a little bit more detail. Before I've done a few of these, I try to keep the pace of the video going. So that means you have to leave some details out, or maybe some information. I guess you don't have to, but in an effort to keep the videos moving, there's some details that I left out. This time I'm trying to not do that. If that means I got to put out a couple more episodes and make a little bit slower progress, I'm totally fine with that. I want to try to include the details and the information that's helpful to all of you that are trying to build a cigar box. And so if that means the episodes will be a little bit longer maybe, and maybe we don't get as far, that's totally fine. I'm okay with that. But I'm trying to not miss anything and explain stuff. So yeah, it's kind of a weird, a weird shaped thing. Lots of notches, lots of weird fitments. And really, do you need to do all this for a cigar box guitar? Nope. You don't necessarily, but I want it to fit the box really well. So right now I have the end is notch, which looks pretty simple, but inside we've got a couple more little pieces in here. These are in here to basically just thicken the back, because I want to use neck grommets like on a bolt-on neck guitar. The grommets get recessed into the back so it's nice and flush, but the back panel is too thin. If I were to recess the grommets, I would basically just drill a hole right through the back. So that wouldn't work, so I had to thicken the back with these. And then in order to make everything fit, of course, I had to notch the neck around these blocks. So just a lot of notching. But do you really need to? Not necessarily. Notch the box, screw the neck down. Easy. I'm making it a little bit more complicated. Not intentionally, but there's just some design elements that I want to include. So it's taken me a little bit longer. Made it a little more complicated. Let's see. Hey, dude says, I'm home in the office. Parts hunting and ordering. So much fun. Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, ordering parts is kind of fun, except it's expensive. That's the part that's not fun. I've been doing a little bit of parts hunting. I'm at least investigating some parts because, well, I'm going to make you wait for a minute. I'm going to finish reading comments. Sam says, Jeff, Don't use expensive clippers. That uses more expensive electricity to operate. Use duct tape or wax. Ow! That requires no electricity. Yeah. Shave with a knife. Yeah. Yeah, that would be kind of cool. That's not a knife. Anyway. Yeah. Oh, the tape on the head. That would hurt. Don't worry, Sam. I use a very inexpensive set of clippers. And so much so that I've had, it was the very first time I clipped my head. I just went to the store, Walmart or something like that, and I bought like a $20 set of clippers. I mean, the cheapest ones they had. This is literally 20, maybe 21 or 2 years ago. I don't know. At least 20 years ago. I bought the cheapest pair of clippers, and that's still the pair that I'm using to this day. They died on me 2 years ago, I think. Maybe 3. I don't know. A few years ago, they died. Like something shorted out in the cord. Like you had to wiggle the cord, get it in the right place before it would turn on. And then you're trying to hold the cord in place while you're cutting your hair. And did I go and buy another cheapest pair of clippers possible, which are now like $30? No, I didn't. I ordered like a $10 replacement cord for my cheap set of clippers. And I spent an hour or whatever replacing the cord, which fixed the problem. So now they're still the cheapest pair of clippers. That's how I do things. Like, oh, why buy a new pair for $30 when I can buy a new cord for $10? I can't be the only one that thinks like that. And I know I'm not, but I'm just trying to prove the point. So don't worry, Sam. My pair of clippers is still cheap, although it does use a fraction of electricity. Drissy Guitars, what's up? What's going on? Oops, the thing here like recognizes hand movements and it turns on and off the automatic tracking, and I just waved the Drissy Guitars and it told the thing to track me. Oh, I got it. I can't do it. I gotta refrain. I don't even know what to say. I was trying to think of something else, Sam. Super chat. Thank you so much. Here comes Sam with the super chat. I was trying to think of something else to say, but it didn't work. Sam says for coffee. Right on. Sam, thank you so much. I appreciate that. Got to keep the coffee mug full. Right on. Sam Packins here. Sam Packins says, I took your advice and waited till yesterday for the lacquer to cure. And put another one on. Oh, another coat on top of the cured lacquer? Am I understanding that right? Now you gotta wait again for the last coat, or for that coat to cure. What's going on with it, Rick? Is it coming out okay? Did you have an issue? Did I misunderstand? Francisco! Francisco says, hello, Jeff. How you doing? Francisco, we're doing good. Thank you. Hope you're doing awesome, too. Right on. Welcome. And Jimmer! Jimmer, what's going on, man? What's on the lift today? That's the thing, right? It's not what's on the bench. For him, it's what's on the lift. Rick says you missed my greeting. Oh, yeah, I know why, too. It's not on all chat. Darn it. Sorry about that. So what else did I miss? Hang on, let me scroll back. Rick, I don't see the greeting anywhere. My apologies. Maybe it doesn't pick it up if I've already missed it. I don't know. I'm scrolling back through. We're now on live chat, so I shouldn't miss anything. My apologies, Rick. I'm sorry about that. I wish you could set that to default, and I can't figure out how. Oh no. Now what have I done? Anyway, all right, we're on live chat. I shouldn't miss anything. Sam, LOL. Sam says, don't forget to smash the like button, everyone. It's totally free and most appreciated. Yes, it is free. Hit that like button. Hit that subscribe button. Hit that hype button. I've seen it on other channels. I haven't been able to find it on mine, so I don't know. Explain that one to me. Anyway, Robin's here. Robin, what's going on? Robin says, hi all. Hope everyone's good. We're doing good. We're doing great, actually. Making some good progress on the cigar box guitar. And I got to let you guys know, I've started drawing up a new guitar build. This one's going to be fun. Yeah, a lot of work, but it's going to be fun. I have started, I think I've mentioned before that I need to digitize the Dorian and the Tonic, the Haley Guitars models of mine. Neither one of them I have done digitally. I've created templates, and I've used the templates to build all of the guitars that I've built so far. Last year, I built the Subtonic. That was digital, able to utilize a lot of processes I was able to do on the CNC. But in order to be able to do that, you have to have a digital file of some sort to use any sort of digital manufacturing process. Laser cutter, 3D printer, CNC machine, any of that. You got to have a file of some sort. Well, since I didn't have the file for the Dorian and the Tonic, I decided finally to start tackling that project. And for no particular reason, I just started with the Dorian. A lot of this came about because I was trying to play along with some new music that I recently heard. And the tuning on it was so low. Well, it is so low that I was using my baritone trying to play along with it, but even that, it was too low for the baritone to really get to without the strings being so floppy. So because of that, I was inspired to start working on this guitar, and because I want to be able to play along with this low tuning. I think it's like an octave below standard. I think it's low. I think it's an E. I think it's E to E. Well, actually, I believe they play on an 8. It's played on an 8 string. I don't play 8 string, so I want to build a guitar that I can tune an octave below standard, basically E to E, or drop E anyway, I should say. So what I decided to do was I am now deep in the process of designing a baritone multi-scale Haley Guitars Dorian. I just jumped in. We just said, you know what, we're just do it. I pretty much have the main shape and everything worked out. A few things here and there. I got to work on some constraints to keep the shape so nothing changes or explodes. But it is going to be a wild build, and I think it's going to be super cool. I've got some really cool ideas. The guitar is still in the extreme infancy stages. I haven't even started extruding anything. We're all on a 2D sketch, but I have the scale length. I have everything in there. I'm basically doing everything from scratch using fretboard calculators and scale length, all that sort of stuff. But I'm drawing every single curve, every single fret line, everything. And I'm super excited about it. But it's a long ways off. But that is something that I'm working on. There's still a ton of work to go because I'm still drawing up everything. But I think it's going to be awesome. It's going to achieve the goal that I want to achieve. So I've been looking around. What kind of bridges can you get? What's out there for multi-scale and that sort of thing? Do I want to go single bridge? You know, they make actual multi-scale style bridges. There's all kinds of options, but we were talking about parts that Harry Dude was ordering. That's what I've been investigating, stuff like that too. But yeah, I'm excited about it. It's been a while since I've like really been kind of fired up for a build. They're all fun. I enjoy all of them. Even this cigar box one, it is fun, and I enjoy putting things together, working through the processes. But I'm excited about this one. Like, I don't know what's different. I guess, just I don't know, but it's cool. Like, we're gonna keep going. Keep going with this, and it's gonna be awesome. I do not own a multi-scale guitar. Well, unless you call like a cigar box guitar multi-scale, but I don't play that one all that often. I don't own a 6-string multi-scale or 7 or 8 or whatever. I have 7-string. It's not multi-scale, but I just can't get used to it. So that's why I decided to keep this one at a 6-string and just make it a baritone. So it's going to be, I'm going to get back to the comments in a second, but I want to know your guys' thoughts. This one is going to be, the treble side is going to be a 26.5-inch scale length, and the bass side is going to be 28-inch scale length. So my baritone is 27.7, roughly 27 3/4, I believe it is. So this is going to be just a shade longer. Hopefully it's enough to be able to get the tuning that I'm shooting for. I think it will. I can get it on the baritone, but I need a bigger set of strings, I think. So I believe by doing this multi-scale baritone, I think it's just going to make it even more wild. So I'm excited about it. Like I said, it's been a while since I've been this excited about a particular build. So I'm definitely looking forward to jumping in. I still got a long ways to go, because I am going to draw the whole thing, and then we'll start building it. Probably, I don't know, not super soon, but hopefully soon. Let's see here. Back to comments. Sorry about that. Let's see. Paul's here. Paul says, greetings all. Hope everyone's having a great week. Right on, Paul. What's going on? Cheers. Rick said, yeah, I had to sand it back with some 2000. But anyway, yes, I'm waiting again. Oh, darn it, Rick. I'm sorry you had to go back through there. I can't say I've never had to do that. Robert says, howdy, peoples. Hope everyone's doing well. Staying safe and healthy. We are, Robert. How are you doing? What's going on? Sam says, avoid blink cameras. The processors in them isn't very fast. I got some for a relative, and they mistriggered video footage. If you require security cameras, just go professional quality. Yeah, I've got yeah. I don't know where I was going with that, but yes, I probably will be looking at some point. That's good to know. Rick says, I'm trying to beautify the homemade upright bass. Did a water dye burst. Also started the next build. Going to be an LP with old blue jeans to cover the top with white edge binding. Nice. Saw the idea on a CBG. I have seen that, a denim top. Yes, that's going to be awesome. I want to try that sometime, like a cloth top kind of deal. Very cool. Paul says, good luck with that, Jeff. As an older luthier who does almost anything the customer wants, it's hard to jump into a brand new build formed out of your imagination and then make it duplicatable. It says multi-scale will be fun to do, but make it more complicated and do the distorted frets thing. No, that looks awful. I know exactly what you're talking about. What's that? What do they call that? Microtonal? Yeah. I always thought fan fret was kind of wild, and I wasn't ever super interested in it. But I got the bug. I don't know why. I've never built one. I've never even played on one, but I'm building one. And that will probably be the first. Because I don't know any lefties that have one. So yeah, I think it's going to be awesome. Yes, it is. Let's see, who does almost anything the customer wants. See, so this one's a little different, right? I'm designing it all digitally, but I'm the customer this time. This is one that I want. This is one that I want to play. We're going to do a whole series of videos on it, or at least as many as it takes. But once the files are done, the cool part is, if somebody wants one, which I hope they do, then all I have to do, I've already got the files. It is actually really easy to take those files. I'm drawing everything up lefty because, I don't know why, just because. It's super easy to reverse the entire toolpath. Boom. Now I got a righty. I don't have to redesign the whole thing. I don't have to make a mirror image and regenerate all of the toolpaths. You basically create the toolpath for whatever it is, and then you go in and it almost takes a copy of your entire toolpath files. It's hard to explain really, but boom, it will mirror them and create another set of toolpaths. So let's just say it's starting at whatever point. It just flips everything. It's so easy. Because when I did the subtonic, I was concerned that I was going to run into problems. And I was trying to think throughout the whole build, do I have to redraw the entire thing? Do I have to keep all of the dimensions the same? Am I going to have to remember how I did this? No, you don't. You make one model and then you mirror the toolpaths. It is so cool. So once it's drawn up, I've got the files. It's really easy to do. And since I'm the customer, I'm going to hassle myself. I don't know where I was going with that, Paul. I think I got off on a tangent, but this will be very duplicatable. That's where I was going. Once it's done and I've got everything worked out, it's actually really easy. And yes, multi-scale I think it's going to be cool. I do. Yep, but no microtonal frets. Sam says, are you allowed to make a single Ninja throwing star to encase inside transparent resin for wall mounting? Probably. I don't know why not. Neptune says, are you building it for yourself or to sell later? How many guitars do you have in total? Not saying it's a bad thing, just nosy. Okay, so Neptunes, I think I may have just answered that when I was commenting on Paul's comment. I'm building this one for myself. As I mentioned, I was inspired by this music that I heard just last week in the tuning, the super, super low tuning. And I want to be able to match that. So that's what inspired me to build this. And it's for me. But like I said, I'm going to have the files. And if somebody wants one, bam, you got it. We'll be able to make one. So that's the plan anyway. And how many guitars do you have in total? I don't know. A lot. I thought about doing a video on those too. So if that would be something interesting, let me know that as well. But I don't know, Neptunes, probably, I don't know, 20 something. Counting cigar box guitars and banjos and stuff, but like actual guitars, probably, I don't know, probably around that 20 mark, maybe more. I don't know. But I thought about that. I thought about doing because I still have my very first acoustic I've ever got and my very first electric. So, but I've been thinking about maybe doing a video. I don't know if it would fit on this channel, but I thought about that. Why wouldn't it fit? It's just some of the history, I guess. But I was thinking, going through, this is my first acoustic, nylon string, blah, blah, blah. This is my first electric. This is my second electric. This is my third acoustic. This is my first homemade this, would that be interesting at all? Maybe I could get somebody to help me film it. Maybe I didn't film it here in the shop, but maybe I filmed it somewhere else. Just going through like the history of my guitar. This one was used for this. I learned how to play on this. I don't know. But I have been thinking about that because I just think it'd be a cool reference for later on. I might make it anyway. So Neptunes, I hope that answers your question, sort of. Harry Dude says, I'm curious to know how you go about pre-radiusing the frets prior to installation. Each fret would be a different radius because of the multi-scale. Harry Dude, you, my friend, make an extremely valid point. That's going to be a little bit tricky. One I hadn't thought of yet. Huh. Yeah. You know what I'll do? I will, since I have a digital file, I'm glad you brought that up because I seriously had not thought about that. I am going to create some templates. I know, where are they? Why is all my stuff lost? I got to go through these drawers. These drawers are filthy. I know, these guys, right? These little radius deals. I'm going to have to make a custom set. Since I have a digital file for this, wow. Sorry, I'm thinking through that even some more. Since I'm drawing this up digitally, I'm going to be putting the radius digital on the fretboard. So what I'll be able to do is basically create a sketch on that fret line, right? To project that radius on there. And I'll be able to just measure the radius. I'll be able to get all of that information and create some custom little templates. I just 3D print them. But that'll give me an idea, right? So I'll be able to say, maybe the first 4 or 6, maybe the first 6 frets are under, I don't know, I'm just making up a number, are under a 20-inch radius. And the next 6 frets are all under a 16-inch radius, or come up with like 4 groups. And then I could radius them all to 1. And then, install those, and change the radius a little bit. Yes, very good point, Harry Dude. Now you got me thinking on that one. I think it'll be fairly easy to work around. Even if I got to make like 6 or 8 different radiuses to use as a template, I think it would be fine. Once I have the digital file, I can read that radius and go from there. I think it'll work okay, actually. But man, that was a good one. Something I had not thought about. I might have to get a wider fret wire pressing call. Huh. Interesting. Harry Dude, nailed it. Paul says, when I have a fan fret or multi-scale fret job request, I have a friend that does the fingerboards for me. That is what he does as a side job. Oh, he makes them? Or does what? So you'd like do a refret on a multi-scale? Is that what you're talking about? Robert says, I've seen some new videos from Big D lately. He was away from YouTube for a while, but he's getting back to doing videos again. I noticed that, actually. Not long ago, one of his videos popped up, and I went, oh, Big D. Haven't seen him in forever. So, yeah, hopefully everything's okay, with him, and he's was just doing his thing for a while. But, yeah, I noticed that. I learned a lot from watching his videos. He does a lot of stuff with the water-based dye, and I definitely, or used to, I don't know if he still does, but I've learned a lot by watching his videos. Paul says, I have 7 guitars total. One of these days, I'm going to learn how to play. Yeah, get after it, Paul. We'll start a band. Sam Packin says, a lot of guitars doesn't make you a bad person. Well, that's a good thing. Thank you, Rick. Now I know I'm not a bad person. Sam says, I meant wall mounting as an ornament. Sorry, there's a Luna, 200 characters, including spaces. Oh, I got you. Yeah, I don't think there's an issue there, Sam. Neptune says that would be cool to see. Duly noted, Neptunes. I think it would be cool. It is a video that I would like to make myself. And if I'm making it, I may as well put it on the channel. a little behind the scenes information, maybe. Harry Dude says maybe what each guitar inspired in the models that you make. Oh yeah, good way to relate it. True, true. Yeah. I think I might do it, but I think I would want somebody to help me. I would probably lay out the guitars, and then they can like just hand them to me, kind of thing. Because it would take a super long time if I have to get up, get the guitar. I mean, I guess it wouldn't be horrible, but if I could find a good spot to do it, sitting here like on the table in the shop is fitting. Maybe I could do it in here. I don't know. It's just something that I wouldn't mind making. So maybe we'll do that. Mike Johnson's here. Mike says, good morning. Sorry I'm late. Mike, what's going on? Boy, have you been busy. All your brickwork. Looks nice. Looks super nice. Well done. Mike's been very busy. Doing some landscaping. Sam says, Jeff just admitted his drawers are filthy. Yes. Neptune says, morning, Mike. At least you made it. Yeah, see? That's all that matters. Mike's here. Sam says, can you use a leaf blower to unblock dust extraction dusting? Probably. You probably can. Paul says he makes multi-scale and microtonal necks that he sells. How does he do the microtonal? How do you bend the frets that way? Surely he doesn't. You can buy them that way. We need more information, Paul. The only place I've seen those available is like from the actual person that does it, and I can't remember the name of the company. Hairdude says, all your guitars on stands, Spinal Tap style. Man, it has been, I barely remember any of the references to Spinal Tap. It has been so long since I have watched that. I can't even remember the last time I saw it. It was a long time ago. I don't have that many stands. Mike says, I've always considered the guitar as a piece of functional art used by musicians for their art. I'll learn how to play it at some point. Yeah, it is art, both in the playing and the building of it. And that's my goal with this new one that I'm working on. There's some design things that I want to do that they're not new. I keep searching for that one new thing, but they're just elements that I want to include on this model. A little bit more stylized version of the Dorians that I've built before, with some different design elements. Yeah, it is art, and I want it to. I don't know. I got an idea in my head of what it could look like, and let's just see if I can do that. Paul says, I will ask him on the microtonal. I know he does everything with CNC, so I will ask. So, from what I understand on the microtonal, which is not a lot, I got to add, because I've never worked with them, I've never played them, I've never even seen one in person. I thought you can only buy fretted fingerboards from whoever it is that doesn't, and I don't even remember who that is. I have no idea how one would even try to do that because they're absolutely insane. I always thought that multi-scale or fan fret was pretty wild. Those microtonal things, those are nuts. So yeah, I gotta know. Yeah, fan fret, it took me about 2 days. Not nonstop, but half hour here, 20 minutes there, 45 minutes here, an hour here, of just kind of trying sketch ideas to understand how to lay out fan frets. I couldn't grasp it. There was one piece that didn't click, and it just took me playing around a bit with the sketches, trying to lay that out. But now that I understand it, it's actually not hard. But I have no idea how you'd lay out microtonal, to be completely honest. I almost think you're basically setting a scale length for each string and then you're connecting the dots with a bent, twisty wire. Fan frets, like I said, yeah, it took me a little bit of time to understand what I was trying to do. I know what they need to look like, but just trying to figure out, okay, where do I even start with this? But then it clicked, and we were off to the races. But even that though, I had to redraw. I had it dimensioned so that it looked right, but apparently you don't dimension to the fretboard edge. Your scale length is calculated on where the string crosses the fret. That's where you put your scale length, which makes sense, right? Because when you push down on the string, it frets it right there, which makes your scale length. It's not like on a regular guitar where your scale length, your frets are straight across, so they're all the same. These are all different. So you have to set your scale length for the bass side, and then your scale length for the treble side, and then that connects the dots. And then you got to figure out which one is going to be perpendicular. Which for me, I made it easy and made it the 12th. So start out with the 12th, and then you can work backwards from there. I'm going to try to explain all of that when I do the video, because again, like I'm doing with this cigar box, I want to, instead of trying to make the video project go longer, I want to try to include more of that information. Like I said, if it makes the series more videos, that's fine. I don't want to leave stuff out just to keep the video going. Time Surfing, what's up? Time for Surfing says, good morning, Jeff and everyone. What's going on? Good morning. Harry Dude says, you got to watch it again. They're filming a sequel. Oh, really? Yeah, I'm going to have to. Brick says, you missed my comment again. What comment? Hang on, Rick. I'm scrolling back up through because I'm trying to, I try very hard to not miss any comments. The last comment on my screen from you, Rick, says a lot of guitars doesn't make you a bad person. And I know I read that. What did I miss? I don't see one that I missed, Rick, so my apologies. Are you sure it's there? I'm on live chat. Sam says, I just noticed something. YouTube targets accounts with unskippable ads as soon as they make a paid comment. This could be a sneaky tactic to push for people to pay, not to see them. Interesting. Huh. Heritage says, I always thought the microtonal frets were stick-on, not installed in a slot like traditional frets. I don't know. They may be. Harry Dude, I don't know. I really don't. Yeah, that would be something. It's just flat and glued on. Mind blown. I don't know. I always wondered, I mean, that would answer a lot of questions, right? I've got a lot of questions in my head about how do you install that? How do you radius it? How do you everything? But if it's all flat, that would make sense. I don't know. I don't know. Mike says, with Jeff with ideas in his head, oh boy, maybe a psychologist might help. I don't know. I don't know about that. Sam Packin says, I see my comments. Sam says, YouTube's acting up. Neptune says, I had to unhide his comment. Why was it hidden? Interesting. Rick, my apologies. I don't know why it was hidden. I still don't see it, to be honest with you. I don't know what's going on. Something's weird. The last one I see is a lot of guitars doesn't make you a bad person. But anyway, Neptunes, thank you. Thank you for taking care of that. He says, Sent back and asked, who is Big D guy? So Big D he's a guitar builder. I think he's in the Nashville area, somewhere around there, or he used to be. I don't know. He's in Tennessee. Let's just put it at that. But he would do a lot of guitar building videos, a lot of videos on dye and color. Like I mentioned earlier, I learned so much by watching some of his techniques and things. And Big D Guitars is his channel. Go check him out. I haven't seen more of any of the recent stuff, but I did see there was a video recently that came out. I don't know how long it's been since he's done videos, but go check him out. Big D, tons of videos on color and super, super helpful for me. I know that for a fact. And again, sorry, Rick, I don't know what's going on here. I've got everything turned on as far as I know. I don't know what's up. Not WhatsApp. What's up? Neptunes, thank you. Thank you for clearing that up. I don't know what's up. I don't know what's going on with the settings there. Neptune says, any comment asking about Big D is being hidden. Do you think, is that some sort of a language filter thing? I don't know. Birdie Ernie, what's up? Birdie Ernie says, also, good morning, Jeff. And folks, what is going on? Good morning. Hairdude says, I believe some Parker fly frets are glued on top of the fretboard. Really? Interesting. I have a Parker. Not a lefty, and not, well, I guess it's mine, but a friend of mine gave me for parts. It is a Parker P38, I believe it's called. P48, P38, P37. I don't know, something like that. It's like an airplane. I think it's a P38. I've been thinking about the headstock's cracked. Like, it really needs a new neck. I've been thinking about making at some point a new neck for it and sort of restoring this. But I haven't decided. It doesn't have any sort of sentimental or anything, but it just might be a fun project to do. It's probably not even worth my time to mess with, but you just mentioned Parker and it made me think of that. But I'll have to look at that. I don't think those are glued on to the top, but I don't know. It's not a fly. It's a P something. Robert says, I just did a Google search for microtonal fretboard, and it's wild. Looks like a fretboard done in Braille with a bunch of short and long frets instead of a single long. Yeah, it's insane. Isn't it? It's absolutely the craziest thing you've ever seen. And I have no idea how anyone would make them. And I would love to know that, actually. I can't even imagine how you would glue them on, honestly. Let's say you used epoxy, right? You would have to have the finest bead of epoxy, like from a syringe or something. Once it's in place, what do you do with squeeze out? Like, you know how long it would take to remove dried squeeze out from that zigzaggy thing on every fret? That would just be absolutely ridiculous. I would love to know more about the construction process for that. I really would. So if you guys come across a video, keep it in mind and let me know. Or come back to this and leave it in the comments, even if it's after the fact. Yeah, it's absolutely crazy. Paul says he makes the fretboards on a CNC, then cuts up individual fret wires to make his individual pieces. He doesn't dress up the edges on these small ones, but he does get rid of the sharpness. That is absolutely insane. So I could see, Paul. So you're going to have a scale length for every single string. And at that point, so you're basically, wow. So you're going to do individual calculations for fret placements on every string. And where that fret is, you're going to have a small line. I can envision that process. Exactly what you said. You're going to take then with your CNC, you're just going to go, and you're going to cut a little notch. then you're gonna, and so you're gonna have these little notches all over the place, just wide enough for one string, basically. I still can't fathom how would you do bends? You can't bend with it like that, right? With a microtonal, it's all one piece. So your string always at least stays on a fret, but if it's individual pieces, how? Do they overlap a certain amount? Oh my gosh, there's so many questions. There's Neptune's okay about the big D comments. Sam says the chat is shuffling around. YouTube algorithm could be auto hiding them, believing they are spam, but in fact aren't spam. Well, see, that's what I was thinking. That's what I was thinking, right? Because you could extrapolate that to some sort of spam comments, I guess. Mike says at Big D Guitars. Robert says Big D does a lot of stain work, and he will stain a body to the customer's request if you send him the body. Interesting. I didn't know you could do your own. Bearded Vikings here. Says Home Bill. What up? What's up, brother? What's going on? How are you doing? Right on. Long time no see. Hope you're doing good, dude. Right on. You guys, go check out Bearded Viking. It's got a YouTube channel here. Some awesome projects on there. Right on. Yeah. Right on, dude. Sam Packett says, missing my comments has to have something to do with mentioning that name. You missed other people's comments that were trying to help me get my question across. Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. I don't know. Bearded Viking. Maybe. You, have you ever noticed certain comments that were not spam just get automatically hidden? You ever seen that come up before? We were having that earlier. We're talking about a YouTuber that does guitar finishes and things, and everybody's comment was getting hidden, and I totally didn't see it. You ever seen that? I don't know. It's weird. Yeah. So, Sam Packin, sorry about that. I don't know what the deal is. Sam says with all the issues on YouTube, could try dual streaming on YouTube and Discord simultaneously so that people can watch both ways. I have considered that. Starting a Discord. Actually, I have a Discord account, but I've never streamed to it. I just don't know if anybody would go on there. That's the only reason I haven't. I'm not against it, though. This would still be the main one. You just stream it at the same time to Discord. I'm not against that. I'd love to hear feedback from you. Would that be something that you'd be interested in? I don't know. You guys let me know. Robert says, how would someone even figure out where the fret goes when putting those little pieces of wire? So I guess there's some calculations there, Robert, that I'm not 100% sure of. Okay? But depending on, let's take microtonal out of it for a second. And I'm going to try to sort of explain that using the fan fret as an example. So the fan fret guitars do this number, right? It's like a fan. But your string runs straight across. So let's say your low E string is going to be longer than your A string. Your A string is going to be slightly shorter because all of the frets fan inward, right? And then your high E is going to be the shortest altogether. So each one crosses that fret at a different spot, right? You with me? And I'm doing my best here to try to explain something that I've never actually explained out loud. So let's say instead of a single fret and all your strings going across it, take that and instead of right at the point where that string crosses the fret, instead of an angled fret, cut a little teeny section and put one little mini fret in there so that string hits that fret at this spot. Then your next fret up is going to be a little bit shorter. So it's going to be in a little bit. So you'd have these tiny little stair step looking frets. If you were to do a multi-scale as individual frets. I hope that makes sense. So with a microtonal, what you would end up with, now again, I don't know all the calculations for a microtonal. I don't know what they're calculating for, but let's just say that your normal, going from an E to an F on a, like from an open string to the first string, first fret on a guitar, that's a calculated distance, right? Depending on the scale length. But let's say a microtonal, for whatever reason, the calculation is just a little different. You would enter whatever that calculation is for the, I forget what those even are. Whatever the calculations are, each fret is going to be located per that. That's how you would make that calculation. You need to know all of that math, which makes my head hurt, quite honestly. Harry Dude says, I was thinking of the squiggly frets, not individual pieces. Just did an image search. The adjustable microtonal is interesting. Yes, those are cool too. See, that's what I envisioned when Paul mentioned that he puts in little sections. I envision that as a fixed version of exactly what you're talking about. I may be wrong, Paul, but that's what I had in mind. Bearded Viking says, I'm well, thanks. Happy to be here. Yeah, I'm glad you're here, dude. Right on. That's awesome. Mike says, I was told by a luthier that when tuning a guitar, such as a telly, to intonate it based on where the player plays. Too difficult to make it through the whole neck. That, yes. I basically, I understand. I see what you're saying. I always intonate. I have made adjustments based on playing position, but my go-to is the standard of intonating at the 12th, right? Intonate at the 12th fret. But there have been times when, especially in like a studio setting, right, where all that stuff is super important, there have been times when I have made slight adjustments to an intonation because a chord or something is sounding weird. Even though everything is tuned perfectly, I have adjusted for that before. So I could see that. I could see that. If you typically play high up on the neck, solos and that sort of thing, absolutely. You want it intonated up there. If you're mainly strumming chords, well, yeah, you want it down there. But I think, the goal for all of us is to get everything to intonate properly. I know that's sometimes easier said than done, but yeah, I can understand that. On occasion, I wouldn't do that all the time, me personally, but yeah, I totally see there's a time and a place where that might really come in. Mike says, that's why I have many Telecasters. Yeah, you can't have too many tellies. Neptune says, sorry, don't go both ways. Nope. Rick says, never heard of Discord. Yeah, some other streaming thing. I don't know. I don't do much with it, ever. But I'm not against it. Paul says, I'm talking to my buddy regarding your questions on microtonal fretting. Mind if I give him some contact info? No, absolutely, Paul. Yeah, I would love to talk to him about it, just because, well, inquiring minds want to know. But we should bring him on sometime. That would be cool, right? I've never done a guest on the video. I don't even know how you work that, but I know you can do it. Like, that would be fun. Yeah, absolutely, Paul. I'm not against that at all. Birdie Erdy says, I will stick to building regular scale guitars for now. Multi-scale looks like a massive headache to me. Well, Birdie Erdy, were you on here when I was talking about my latest build that I started designing? I don't think you were. I'm building a multi-scale, designing a multi-scale. Yeah, I never thought I would need it or want it. I just thought it was more of a novelty. I don't know, but I've discovered that I now want one. So yeah, I'm I'm digitizing my Haley Guitars Dorian. We're going to go multi-scale baritone, 26.5-inch scale length on the treble side to a 28-inch scale length on the bass side. It is going to be awesome, and I'm super excited about it. I mentioned earlier, I haven't been this excited about a build in quite some time. So definitely going to be super cool. I always thought it was going to be a hassle, but then I realized, well, I know it's not everybody's cup of tea, but that's what I bought the CNC machine for. That's its job, to do stuff that I don't know how I would do myself. So yeah, we're gonna make one, and it's in the very early stages of designing right now. So yeah, nothing wrong with regular scale. In fact, that's probably my preference. But we're gonna try something different. Gotta challenge myself. You know what I'm saying? Make my head hurt from math. Mike says, "Wait, how do you bend across the brakes?" No, most people won't hear the difference. That's another question that I have. I don't know, Mike. There's so many questions because it's something that I don't know much about, honestly. And that's where, right? Isn't that what gives us the questions when we don't understand things? And that's why I'm saying to Paul, yeah, let your friend get a hold of me. I would love to have these answers so that there's no more questions. Sam Packin says, I'm with you, Birdie Erdy. Nothing wrong with that whatsoever. Absolutely. I'm just going to try something new. I gotta challenge my brain. Sam says, why are you fretting your guitars? I'm fretting. They're fretting. Mike says, just make the fretted wire angled. Yeah, see? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. And that's a multi-scale. Multi-scale is, I don't know if you could call that microtonal, but yeah. So many questions, and that's why I want to learn. That's why I love learning things. Every time I learn something new, it removes a question from my brain, which has too many questions anyway. Robert says, I think there's two types of fret designs, the microtonal and the true temperament, which are the squiggly type for design. Oh, good call. There are different true temperament. That's what I'm thinking. I've been calling them microtonal. But still, squiggly. How? And microtonal are the tiny little individual ones. Yes, you're right, Robert. Tomato. They're still squiggly, and I still have they're still all over the place, and I have so many questions around that. Birdie Erdy says, I was here just creeping in the shadows. Fair enough. Robert says, my bad, more than two types of frets, at least four, standard, multi-scale, microtonal, and true temperament. It's a lot. Sam says, Jeff, math, singular or maths, plural, if you just did a single math. I don't like math. Math is not my favorite, nor my strong suit. So multiple math, when I'm doing mathing, mathing hurts my brain. Harry Dude says, true temperament. That's what I was thinking of. Thank you. Yes, I couldn't think of that either. Paul says, gave me your info. Bam, right on. Yes, there's just so many questions that I enjoy being able to answer questions like that. Like before, 2 days ago, one of my main questions would have been, how in the world do you lay out multi-scale fret slots? I can't say that now because I've answered that question. I know how to do that. Mike says an angled or fan fret is the analog basis of tone. Don't go digital. Analog basis of tone. Tone frets. Oh boy. Oh, you know what? It's been like a little over an hour. Let's unclamp this because it's dry enough. Yeah, it's not going to be on video, me unclamping it, but it's fine. Tiny bit of squeeze out there to clean up, but yeah, there it is. Isn't that the craziest looking thing you ever did see for a cigar box guitar? I ended up with the wings on there, because I need somewhere when I attach the bridge has got to have some meat. And the pickup, this is obviously not it, but the pickup needs something to screw into. But that is the wonkiest looking thing, mainly because I wanted sort of this stacked heel thing. That was just because I wanted that design element on there. But other than that, you don't need to do all that. A lot more complicated than it needs to be, but that's what I wanted to do. Pretty crazy. I think this is, like I said, this is where this is going to wrap up this part 2. Part 3, we'll start getting some things attached. Robert says they look like they would be a pain to figure out, both figuring them out, how to make and play. Yeah, I don't know. Robin says, do these fancy frets sound better and make it easier to play? Honestly, Robin, that's always been a question that I have in my mind, right? I don't know. How many gazillions of songs have we heard that are played on normal, straight across frets? Millions and millions and millions, right? So why do anything different? I guess that's the question of the day, right? I am making a multi-scale because honestly, I want to try it. Do I think it's going to make it sound any better? Well, having the longer scale length, I think, is going to accomplish my goal, but that's not what we're talking about. We're talking about multi-scale, or the fan frets. I don't think that makes a difference. I don't know. I can see a little bit of ergonomic, which is an argument that I've heard for fan frets, right? So when you're playing guitar, right, if you look at the angle of my hand, right, in order to, just in its normal state, it's angled, right? And as you come back, so I could see how maybe having fan frets could be ergonomic. You don't have to twist your hand as you go to weird angles. I don't know. I've never played one. The microtonal and the true temperament, honestly, I don't know what the goal is for that. I really don't. That's part of the unanswered questions that I have. I don't know what problem it's trying to solve. I really don't. Other than the fact that whoever they are, right, they say that each string intonates in a different spot, which of course that's true, because if you've ever intonated a bridge, you can't just put the saddles straight across. That's just not how it works. So they do intonate at different spots, and I've read that it's kind of a what's the word? When you're intonating, you can't get any one of them perfect. So you're trying to just split the difference between everything. And it's my understanding, anyway, that some of these other tiny little frets in weird spots are trying to provide perfect intonation for each string. I don't know. I don't fully understand it. And I appreciate that question, because I have some of that question as well. But it's also part of the reason why I want to try at least a multi-scale to see if it really does anything. You know what I'm saying? I don't know. Don't know, Robin, but that's a great question. Bertie Erdy says the pickup you have for the cigar box guitar really is cool looking. It's over there. I can't reach it right now. Yeah, it's a surface mount pickup. I don't even know how you mount it, to be quite honest. Rick, I believe you said you've used one, and somebody else used one. Was it? I don't remember who used it. Someone told me last week. But those of you that have used that little flat surface mount pickup from CB Giddy, how the heck do you mount it? Do you just glue it in place? There's no mounting holes. I have the cover for it, but how do you keep it in place? Double-sided tape? I don't know. I was thinking about that yesterday. How the heck do you mount the thing? Harry Dude says stainless steel frets on the new build. There are people who say they can hear the difference between stainless steel frets and normal frets. I have heard that. I don't know. I'm not super stoked about stainless, but I might, because I don't want to have to refret this later. That's kind of got me thinking about maybe just do it. I don't know. Sam says, do you do all of your ohm improvements? Yes, I said ohm rather than home. Where the H? Where's the H? You asked. The same place as the ancient herbs. Herbs. Yeah. Sorry, I wasn't sure where you were going with that. Mike says all of them. Neptunes, LOL, Sam. Mike says fan frets are made for basketball players. Paul says most of the microtonal frets are on stringed instruments in other countries, like India, and not a standard on guitars, but they can be installed. Lots of YouTube videos on how to play them. Yeah, that's part of it. I haven't investigated it enough. I'm not knocking any sort of them. There's just questions. Robert says goes back to the same issue because we can. That's why. That's the why of why it's done. Yeah, kind of. That's sort of why I decided to do it on this new build that I'll be working on. I want to try it. Rick says, gonna run. Celebrate your day. Maybe you'll see my comments next week. Rick, again, I apologize. I don't know what's going on. I have no control over that. I try my best to not skip anybody's comments. I don't want to pass over anyone. So again, I apologize for that. Rick, I hope you have a great week. Thanks for stopping in. Neptune says, later, Senpakin, have a great week. Steve's here. Steve's here, says glue it with hot glue. See, that's what I thought. That's what I was thinking. Hot glue. Mike says, music is never perfect. The oddities of the player and instrument make the character of the music. There you go. Yeah. Yeah, none of it's perfect. But some people, because they can, right, want to try to come up with other wild and wacky ideas, even if it sounds crazy to the rest of us. They got a reason behind it. I am not here to knock anyone's idea or methods just because I don't know all the answers. But yeah, like Robert said, because we can. Why not? Because it never hurts to go with whatever the issue is, right? And I'm not just talking about guitars. It never hurts to stop and just go, huh, what if we did this? Right? That simple question. What if? Actually, that'd be a cool shirt. We need to come up with a shirt like that. It just says, what if? In some form of branding for Home Built Workshop. What if? Yeah, what if? What if you made a fan fret guitar? What if you put 500 microtonal frets on a guitar? What if you did this? What if? Wow, yeah. Now that's going to be in my head. What if? There's a whole video right there. I'm gonna have to do that because now, like, I've been seriously like excited and inspired this last several days about stuff. What if? What if we did this? What if I did a fan fret? What if I did a multi-scale? What if I did a baritone? What if I wanted to do these cutaways? What if I wanted it? What if? Yeah. Keep that in mind. Steve says, I've used several surface mounts. Hot glue works great. Bam. Steve, thank you. I'm going to do that. We're going to hot glue it. Hot glue that sucker on there. Put the pickup cover over top of it. Bam. Done. Paul says, screws, double-sided tape, or silicone epoxy to mount the surface-mounted pickups. I can't use screws because there are literally no provisions for screws. I was thinking about that. Let me grab it. Hang on. Stay. Whoa, it's going to follow. It's going to stop and look at this board right here. That's the pickup cover. Where's the dang pickup? Sorry, guys. Hang on. I'm finding it. Where is it? I don't know where it is. I've lost. There it is. I got it. Up, camera, get over here. I'm over here. I'm over here. Oh, yeah. There you go. Hi. Down here. There you go. So if you look at that, there's nothing. There's no screw holes, no provisions for any sort of mounting. on the pickup ring. It covers the pickup, but there's nothing that holds the pickup. So yeah, I was thinking about that. Hot glue, I think that's what we're going to do. Harry Dude says 3D print a new cover for the pickup. Harry Dude, bam, man, why did I not think of that? What if I designed a cover that this slides into, and then you screw the whole thing down? What if, right? Man. Slides into a little slot, screws down to the top. I don't know. Maybe I could. I don't know. I got to experiment. Wow. Sam says, never give an old screw to someone in front of a third person. It's something that you give them good old screw misconstrued. Yeah, and your comment will get blocked by YouTube. Sam says, what if merchandise? Yeah. See? What if? Sam says, use a rubber glue. Yeah, more flexible once cured. That's true. And then Mike says, 3D print a box that the pickup sits in. Robert says, I was just typing a suggestion that stated that everyone in a live stream should tell YouTube not to put ads in the live stream because we missed part of the stream while the ad runs. Mike says, hot wax it into place. Oh, hot wax. I burn myself. Robert, as I was typing the suggestion, the first time my tab crashed. Oh, man. Yeah, let's somehow make a thing that fits in. And then a cover goes over top, and then you can screw it down. Yeah, that might be cool. I might have to play around with that idea. I like it. Anyway, you guys, I'm thinking I got to get back to work. We're like 20 minutes past the hour, which is totally fine. I love when we're on a roll talking about stuff. Today, great conversations on frets and stuff like that. I'm just, like I said, I'm excited. I'm excited for, well, one, to get this contraption done, but I'm super excited about the new build that'll be coming up eventually. And yeah, I really just want to experiment with that, try some new stuff. Super cool. I think it's going to be a great build, and definitely a learning experience for myself. So yeah, you guys, thank you. Thank you for being a part of the live today, and every day for that matter. But let's see. Mike says, take care. Robert says, I think YouTube was trying to stop my suggestion. Sam says, thanks for the fantastic stream, Jeff and everyone. Paul, have a great week, everyone. Mike says, what if? Yeah, what if? Be safe, everyone. He says, WTF? WI. Yeah, what if? Robert says, everyone stay safe and healthy. Have a great one. Neptunes. Thanks, dude. I'm glad you could get on here. Says, everyone have a great week. Later, Jeff. Won't be back for a while again. Had fun with the last 3 lives. Yes, Neptunes, we're going to miss you. The next ones, try to stop in. Don't be a stranger. I know. Obligations, I understand. It's all good, but I'm glad you were able to be here. Robin says, I'd like to try out the fancy frets rather than seeing photos and videos. All the best, folks. Yeah, I'm with you, Robin. That's the thing. I would like to try it as well. I'd like to understand, what does it do? How does it, like, yeah, just to understand it. I'm not knocking it whatsoever, nor any of that stuff. It's just, I would like to try and see what the goal is. Drizzy Guitars, cheers. Harry Dude, cheers, folks. Catch you all next week. Robert says, just had more ads. That's my last comment. Right on. Neptune says, new job in the near future. Boom. Right on. You guys, thank you so much. I appreciate all of you. Now, remember to ask yourself, what if? Be inspired by that. Thanks, everyone. Everybody, take care. Stay safe. Stay well. Get on your shops. Build some cool stuff. Have some fun. Create some things. Ask yourself, what if? And we'll see you all next time. Thank you, everybody. I appreciate you. Have a great week. We'll see you next time. Later. We're out. Do you want to end? Yes, we're out. Thank you, everybody.